great guy once said, don't get it twisted. Love is a beautiful thing. Do you think so? Well, I agree as a matter of fact. But there's a question. If love is a beautiful thing, why do we experience all the issues we experience in love and marriage? I have some answers to share with you. Please stay glued to your screen and enjoy the view. I'll be back.
How do I put this? The reasons why in relationships it seems like unlike poles attract and like poles repel is that when someone is so much like you, it becomes somewhat boring. But when someone is different from you, you find the person intriguing and attractive and exciting to be with. So for me, I think the dynamics depends on the individuals. For instance, I'm an outgoing person, and for some reason I want to be able to break my routine once in a while and calm down. I will tend to end up being attracted to someone who is an introvert because he has something I would love to be able to do. We're not alike, but I admire that side of him, so that's what makes the attraction. Okay, so that's why it looks like unlike poles attract, But when someone is too much like you, it becomes boring. But that doesn't mean that people who are alike cannot make it work. I mean, if, for instance, two of you love reading, two of you are bookworms, you guys met in the library, you guys have a, very introverted lifestyle, of course, you can make the relationship work. It doesn't mean you must go and marry someone who is a party animal. You understand? Like I said, it is what you are looking for as a person that will attract you to someone else. And in the case of like poles and unlike poles, it's all about complementing each other. We are most drawn to the people that can complement us. Like for instance, a man will most likely pay attention to a lady that shows him respect, his definition of respect, than a lady who just seems to slap him on the head and treat him like my guy. You understand? Maybe for him, that value of respect is what he really admires, and then he sees a lady who shows it. So he'll be more interested in her and then keep his girlfriend that is slapping his head as his, groomswoman, just one of the guys. But they are saying something. I don't know if you've seen this film, My Best Friend's Wedding. You can see that when Julia Roberts and the guy, I've forgotten his name now, were together, and she was just reminding him of all the fun they have, the kind of, close relationship they have. And as much as he was my guy, she could not understand what she was seeing in Cameron Diaz that was making him run towards her and say, babe, it is you I want to marry. She was like, I love you. We are on the same level, we're on the same frequency. Why marry her when I'm here? Julia Roberts just couldn't get it. But it comes down to the need that Cameron Diaz was feeling in the guy's life, and that was what drew him. So it's not about the like poles attracting. For instance, someone who is disorganized might be attracted to someone who is very organized, and that's because he inherently, somewhere in him, he wants to be organized. So in being attracted to her, he's hoping that he can learn that part of her or have that part of her become part of his life. And she might be the type that, needs to loosen up, and that difference between them is what draws them. That need for complementing each other is what draws them together. Of course, it can also be the source of, flinging them apart, because a woman that is super organized is like make a fuss about pressing where the toothpaste comes from and stuff like that. But really, generally, it's what you are looking for in your spouse that will attract you to the person. So for some people, they are okay with a spouse of the opposite nature. A guy that likes to travel, very outgoing. He's attracted to a woman that likes to stay at home and wants to keep a family. It's just what he likes, because somewhere in his traveling all over the world, he knows that some part of him really wants to be at home. And so he's happy that his wife is that way. Or a man that is committed to ministry, is just always out the field, preaching the gospel. Sometimes he would like a wife that will tell him, step back, let's calm down, let's focus on family, because sometimes you need that break. Sometimes the pressure can get to you and you feel like you need a break. You need a wife that can say, please slow down, let's take time out, let's focus on family, you know. So if the two of them are just ministry, you find out that you now have children that will now grow up and be feeling like our parents don't care about us, and then there'll be lack on the home front. So that's why the whole unlike poles attract thing kind of looks like it's a thing, but it's not really a thing. It's just what you are looking for in your spouse, the need that person can meet. If the person is totally opposite from you, but they have something that you need in your life and they can feel that need in your life, then you will definitely be attracted to them. And that's my take on the whole like poles and unlike poles attracting or not attracting.
Okay, so we live in very strange times, and this question makes me wonder how to answer this question. It makes my mind travels in very interesting ways. Number one, opposite attracts, right? And it's true, because man marries woman. Well, that's how it's supposed to be, but I'm just going to leave it at that. Very foundation to the Christian faith, although that is being challenged in the public square right now. But very foundation to the Christian faith is that marriage is made for a man and a woman. So naturally, a man becomes attracted to a woman. So for that, physics is very correct, you know. But I get the question. People are talking about personality, temperament, you know, and compatibility issues. Oh my God. You see, I get into trouble when it comes to things like this, because I think very foundational, and I always like to draw my ideas from foundational concepts. Some of these concepts, I find it difficult to accept them unless I can understand the definition that whoever is talking about compatibility or saying whether this person is like me or not. You get the idea. So it's very subjective. Compatibility issues are very subjective. So I usually stay away from those things, because when things are subjective, they're very prone to selfishness. They can actually be governed by, and so it becomes really dicey for me. So depending on what people talk about when they say you marry someone like you, is it that both of you are SS, or you are AS, or is it that both of you are sanguine, or both of you are choleric, and you know, and stuff like that, or those personality types. Now, research has shown that all different types of temperament can marry any different types of temperament. People will say that this one may be more suited for that, but you've seen two people of the same temperament marry, and they're doing okay. They found a way to live together and all of that. So those things are very subjective to me, and I just try to stay away from them, because the talk on those issues will never end. You can create 1 million scenarios and you will never find an answer that will be satisfying to anybody, because they are subjective, circumstantial, and conditional.
So physics says opposite attract and like poles repel. Is it the same in marriage? Is marriage physics? Is marriage physics? Well, there's no one size fits all. In some cases, you have opposites really attracting, yeah. And in other cases, you have likes getting attracted to themselves, defiling the physics theory, so to speak. So there's really no one size fits all. I think it's about values. Values are key. So when it comes to values, like poles would naturally attract. I think I can say that for real. When it comes to your values, your innate values, the core that makes you you, like poles will naturally attract. But then for other things, the looks, okay, how tall is he? How dark is he? I'm short. Would I be attracted to a short guy? I mean, he's tall. Would I be attracted to a tall guy? Would he be attracted to a tall lady? We really can't say. Those things are, you know, ephemeral. Those things are immaterial. But the core of this thing, this issue, is your values. What you hold there, what makes you you, what makes you act the way you do. What are those things that guide you as a person, your actions, your inactions? So I think that those are the things that should attract you. That is where like poles really does attract.
Well, I think over time, we have discovered that marriage is actually complementary. Over time, marriage is complementary. So, actually, I don't think it's even more of the physics, but it's partially part of it. Because I think you tend to go to the type who is not you, somehow. You tend to go to the type who is not you, and that's just basically, marriage is complementary. Sometimes you see some people who are the same type in marriage, and then there are some who are, of course, completely opposite. But I just think marriage generally is complementary. But what is more important is that you and your spouse are compatible. You and your spouse agree together. You and your spouse are seeing the same picture together, and that's just basically that there is that compatibility with both of you.
Well, I like what you said, physics. Inanimate objects, things that are not real, no feelings, so it doesn't work in marriage. There's no rule to that in marriage. Basically, for a child of God who has put his faith in Jesus, we understand the dimension of being led by the Spirit, being led by the Lord. So, as the Lord leads you, you go ahead. Also, you like I said earlier, you marry someone you like. If a person is opposite to your own character and behavior, maybe you're a quiet person, maybe he's a loud person, fine. But the bottom line is, do you like the person? Are you attracted to the person? Do you want to do this person for the rest of your life? One of the things my wife told me was that she had prayed and said she wanted somebody who likes her, not just love her, but who likes her. And God, that's what she got. Because I really like her. Like in the sense that I like her, she's my friend. I like her. So it's important that you look at all those things and not believe physics and go and attract to yourself somebody who is really unlike you. And you cannot really communicate, you cannot converse, you cannot have moments to share together because they told you the opposite attracts. And you're in the prison of physics.
We can practice it, but the most important thing in marriage, if you are a Christian, to look for God's partner for you, God's life partner for you. And you can get it, because if God has been answering your prayers in other areas, even in this one, He can also answer you. But the important thing is, are you willing to take God's answer for yourself? And once you receive the person God gives you, you will enjoy it. There might be some difficulties at the beginning trying to understand each other, but at the end you see that with God helping you, you can make it. And I remember some couples, when you see them, they chat very well, they can argue, and after arguing, they decide to agree to disagree, and joyfully. The next thing, they start playing with each other. Nobody is carrying face. You didn't agree with what I said, or why should you overrule in this one? So the likes, they can meet together and enjoy their marriage. And there are some people that are not the same thing, the different attributes. You see that maybe somebody is not talking much. You see the other person is talking. Yes, this person can always represent me what I want to say. He will go and marry the person. But after some time, you see, this person is talking too much. I cannot bear it any longer. Can't you reduce this, your talking? And you discover that the same thing that he attracted into the person is the same thing that is now trying to make him want to separate from the person, because he cannot bear it any longer.
Well, for that question, there is no hard and fast rule on that, because I've seen where these things we mentioned, where it worked, like poles, repel, opposite attract, and the other way around. I know of a couple that the woman was the ginger of the of the home. Why the guy was so quiet. When they come for an occasion, the woman was the one talking or would talk and take charge of the whole thing. Why the man was so reserved. And I've also seen a couple that the man and the woman both of them are very, very agile. They are the only ones cracking their jokes. They are the only ones laughing. Can you imagine that? So I don't know if there's a hard and fast rule to that. Like my wife and I, when people see us, they think we are brothers and sisters because we laugh, we joke and all that. But I think there are areas where we are a little opposite, and there are also areas where we are, similar. So there is no really hard and fast rule to that, in my own understanding.
I'll say that most times we find ourselves being attracted to qualities in people that we feel are deficient in us. So that's why it seems like people who are opposite attract. It's like a loud girl is dating a guy who is quiet. But most times what happens is that we are attracted to qualities in people that we feel are deficient in us. So if you grew up as a quiet person and you've always wanted to be outspoken, and then you meet an assertive, outspoken lady, you just find yourself attracted to her because inherent in her is a value that you've always admired and you want for yourself. So for someone like me, I'm very straight down there. So I am fascinated by any lady that has hips and butt. See, it's just, as far as you have hips, to me, you are the most beautiful person in the world. I don't even look at faces because I feel like that's what beauty is about. So if I were a guy, for sure, I'll go for a lady who has all of that attribute because I feel it is deficient in me. So it's the same thing with people. However, for me, I think it's also important that we separate character from value. Someone could be loud and you're quiet, but when it comes to, again, the matters that matter, like your belief system, what your values about money, your values about conflict resolution, your values about relationship, your values about friendship, your values about how you think kids should be brought up. Those things that are everyday matters in marriage and in relationship, they are things that you must agree about. But about the how, she's loud, she's outgoing, and I'm quiet, I don't think there's an issue with that. Yeah, so I don't know if I've answered your question, but I think I've been able to shed more light. Generally, we're just attracted to people that have, characteristics that we feel are deficient in us. Yeah, so it then seems like opposite is attracting. But for people to work in a relationship, they must agree in the things that matter, in the values. The value system must align. Yeah.
Okay, there's no hard and fast rule to this. But I will tell you one thing, and most people will tell you that is the commonalities between couples that keep them together, really. So yes, those similarities are very important. They sort of make you the couple really easy. It makes life easy to live with for both parties. So that is important. But also the areas where you differ can also be very complementary, and that also help other people that interface with you guys as a couple, or it makes it easier for people to interface with you. I'll give you an example. If we're going to take temperament, so if you have a couple that are both melancholy, they're both male, introverted in nature, then they're going to be cool with each other. They're going to be cool with each other, like they don't like partying, they don't like the outdoors, they like to stay indoors and read and do whatever. That's nice, but it's going to now become like a problem for people who interface with them, because you can really find, it's difficult to find areas of penetration or to be able to build bridges to work with these people. So I think both the similarities and differences have their place, but what I can tell you really is that the similarities are really what makes people live easily together, while the differences can be very complementary in everyday life. For instance, when we started out as a couple, I felt like I was the kind of person who was going to do business, and then I won't be, if I have debtors, I won't be able to collect my money because I'm usually like this nice guy who doesn't really want to now go hard on people. But my partner, who's like my best partner, is the other way around. She can get the money out, you know, and then she can do that. So that's very complementary, even though it becomes an area of conflict for us, but we also know how to use that to benefit the team all together.
I know about that physics law very well, but it doesn't work like that in marriage. In marriage, I've seen some people that are very different in their characters and they're moving on fine. I've seen some people that are very different and it's wahala. I've seen people that are alike, that are moving on fine. I've also seen some people that have similarities in their conducts, and it's difficult. So for me, I think what is more important is that those two people must have their hearts ready to go along together as husband and wife, not because one is quiet and the other one is loud, or one is talks a lot and the other person does not talk a lot. All those things may not be the issue. If the two people are willing to adjust, accommodate themselves, it can always go along. So that physics law doesn't hold strictly. Although we've observed many times that people tend to get along or tend to like those that are somehow different from them. They also have their advantages and disadvantages.
Welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed that episode. Alright, don't forget we have a lot of value to share with you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so you know every time we have a new post. Okay? Also follow us on our social media handles on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Telegram with the name Single and Ready Club. We will love to share value. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.